Hey everyone, I'm Tony Johnson, your customer service leader. Welcome to CustServe Nation. Looking so forward to talking to you today. We are live on Periscope today. Going to have a big day talking about customer service and making up all the pieces and parts that drive a fantastic experience. Listen, I was lucky enough to be in Washington, D.C. this past week talking to government customer service leaders. These are the people in the trenches getting it done every day. These are the people who stand and deliver. I know the politicians are on television and you're watching Donald Trump take the world by storm. These are the people behind the scenes getting it done. They're the ones that work in the call centers. They're the ones that are working for the IRS. They're the ones who are taking your calls, your complaints, your suggestions, either at places you can walk in and see them live, on the telephone, on the internet, on their websites. These are the people in the trenches getting it done. I haven't seen a more dedicated group of individuals in my life. They are there getting it done through the red tape every single day. And I was really proud and honored to have the chance to talk to them this past week. And God bless them for doing such an amazing job. We talked about training. We talked about recognition. We talked about what it means to get great customer service delivered in the context of government. And I was so proud with their questions, their retention, a huge group when I did their closing keynote. And again, just a fantastic experience. You might be wondering, I don't have the stack of books on here this week. I gave them all out in the nation's capital, but we'll have some more back next week, and we're going to start giving some out for your amazing questions if you want to go ahead and submit a couple through the website. We do have a couple of great ones to talk about today, by the way. As you can see, the book is here on my iPad here today, and this is the Kindle version. So I wanted to really emphasize the fact that not only can you buy the analog copies on Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon.com, you can also download the full book, Recipe for Service, my guide to delivering and inspiring amazing customer service. You can also order that for your Kindle. So please take a minute to download it and really start driving that amazing customer service, because everything we talk about is really highlighted a little deeper inside of the book. We kind of brush the surface here, but to get the big deep dive into it, buy the book and take a look at it. Email me, check out my blog, tonyjohnson.com, great place to go for free videos and resources, and again, deeper versions of what we're talking about here on the show. So again, CustServe Nation coming at you, our weekly telecast. So excited to be talking to you today. I went to a Midwestern amusement park this past week, had a great time riding the rides, seeing the sights, watching everybody have an amazing time with their family as the summer starts to wind down, and we decided we wanted to go to one of the restaurants in the park. So we walk up to one of the associates who's working there and asked them if they could help us. And that person said sure, and they sent us on our way with some directions. For whatever reason, we were having trouble interpreting the map. And so we took a look at it, got the directions, and off we went. Turns out we ended up going to the very opposite end of the park because the frontline associate really didn't quite know exactly where they were trying to send us, which is unfortunate because I think, you know, probably lots of people get lost every day, and this was one of those rubber meets the road moments where folks really need to be able to give out those fantastic directions, and it was kind of a fail. Didn't ruin the day or anything, just kind of took a little luster off of what was a fantastic day. So we realized that we were at the exit going to the resorts as opposed to the exit that was going back out the front of the park the way we came in. So we turned around, went up, found the place, had a great lunch. It was all good. The day was saved, and I got my amazing French fries and my moonshine cocktail and was feeling good about life. But it was one of those things where I thought, you know, seasonal employees need the same love as everybody else. That was really what I took away from that, was that when I think about this idea of part-time seasonal employees, sometimes they don't get the training that the full-time employees do. This resort amusement park hired a lot of college students, you could tell, probably part-time, making some money to go to school, probably 90-day or 100-day employees, and then off they go. Probably huge turnover, probably a pain in the rear end to hire that many, probably hundreds or thousands of these students every single year to come in. And a lot of them had a language barrier because they were international students and just wanting to make money, I think, to go to school. So the organization was doing a great thing by hiring them, and then the students working there were doing a great thing because they were trying to lower their debt and go to school. So lots of good stuff. But at the end of the day, they weren't training them. You could just tell. And when you have seasonal, part-time, or folks who aren't full-time employees, or if you have a lot of turnover, you've got to give the same training love to them too. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to how they treat and are able to help customers and guests in your business. And customers and guests don't care if they're a new employee, if they didn't get the training they needed. They don't care if they're seasonal or part-time. They don't care about that. They just care about getting the amazing service they think they deserve. And I think that's a reasonable request. So take the same care during onboarding, during hiring, during the first days of work that you would with a full-time employee, and you're going to find you're going to have great success there. But I think it's one of those things where without really putting some muscle behind it, you're never going to get there. Because when employees aren't well trained, they give terrible customer service, either because they don't know what they're doing, they get frustrated, they feel like they're not getting supported, and they take that out on the guest. So you can kind of scale that, whether they're full-time, part-time, executives, or frontline associates. Everybody needs amazing training. So don't skimp there, because it will show. When we look at some of our customer service tips every single week, smiling is the one I want to talk about this week. You know, I've always found that you can't not hardly smile back at folks who smile at you. It really is part and parcel of an amazing welcome. It shows that we're friendly. And let's face it, when people are smiling and they're smiling back at you, how bad could the transaction go after that if everybody's all smiling at each other? I think that's a great place to be. And it really gets us into a place where we look friendly, we're driving great service, and it all starts with that great smile. The other great part about the smile, I'll tell you, is there are studies that show that it can actually help your mood. If you smile, kind of fake it till you make it, if you will, you can actually find that your mood will start to soar a little bit. And that's a great way to get yourself back in the mojo of great service if you happen to be struggling or having a bad day. So just remember, the smile, one of the most important pieces in your customer service arsenal, so don't skimp there. Let's go to our questions of the day. Had a couple of great questions this week. So proud of Twitter for sending these in today. Thank you so much. The first one I've got is, how should we respond to negative comments on social media? You know, that's the way of the world right now, right? When we look at social media, it really is one of these things where social media can be mean, social media can be helpful. There's a lot of great stuff that you can get from social media, but part and parcel of that is you're going to get the folks who just have an axe to grind. They maybe have nothing great to offer, but they just want to keep going on and on and on. So here are a couple of tips. Number one, don't knee-jerk, right? You're going to get a lot of feedback on social media, but unless you're hearing things in themes or motifs, unless things are really popping up a lot, don't change them. Don't change because one person wants it, especially if you're an organization that serves thousands or millions of people every week or day. Why would you change for one person? Unless it is the $1 million idea, and in which case you should hire that person clean in to come in and help your organization win. But unless they have that $1 million idea, wait until the rock starts rolling down the mountain and you start hearing it a little bit. Again, unless it's that idea that you're like, wow, that's amazing, that's coming, that's a coming of age moment, let's go ahead and change now. Don't let them drag your dirty laundry out in public. That's your next tip, because I think you're going to find that they're going to want to get you into a conversation. They're going to want to get you nasty in front of the whole world on Twitter to say something, you know, that sticks out there forever, because once it goes on the internet, let's face it, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be there forever. So get them into a direct message situation, get them into a phone call or an email, someplace where you can control the conversation and it doesn't end up in the wider world directly from your lips. And then finally, answer quickly. It's great to use social media. It's great to have that resource. But one of the things people complain about a lot is that people have a Twitter feed or a website, but they take forever to get back to them. So answer back quickly, quash the problem quickly, take the suggestion quickly, thank them for their time and their suggestion, and then move on. You know, don't ignore the great suggestions and the stuff that's really starting to hit critical mass. But again, don't knee-jerk and don't let them drag you into a huge public nasty debate. The second question that I got, and I thought this was a really good one. Sometimes I have to overrule my employees' decisions because as a manager, I need to make a different decision for the good of the customer. How do I make everybody feel good about that? Now, I think that's a good question because it happens all the time. Maybe your customer has a great idea or had a really big problem, and you're going to give them a little more off their bill. You're going to give them a product at a different price or at the same price as an out-of-stock item. Could be any number of things you're doing for that guest. Now, the person at the front desk may well have been following every policy you have, yet you're going to choose to do something different because you're empowered to do so, and you're deciding that for the good of the organization, that's what you want to do. So it happens all the time, but after that transaction's over, a couple of things have to happen. Number one, you have to go talk to the employee and tell them why you chose to make that decision. Because if you don't, they're going to think you just cut their knees right out from under them, and that's never going to be good for anybody. So take the time to explain why you changed the decision, how it's good for the organization, how it's good for the guest, why you did it. Because when you give frontline associates the why, they will give you a pass on any number of things. It's when you leave them in the dark, they start getting really upset about stuff. Number two, you have to ask yourself, was that policy flawed in the first place? Do I need just to change that policy because it's happening all the time and I need to just fix it? Could be. You know, that's a lot of times how we learn that policies are junk, is because people are talking to us about them. So don't be afraid to change a stupid policy. It'll be amazing for your customers, and it'll save your frontline associates a lot of aggravation. And then the third piece is, Are my frontline associates empowered to do enough? That's a great question to ask yourself, because chances are maybe you don't give them enough responsibility. Maybe you're getting called in too much as a leader to solve problems just because. So take the time to make sure that they have the appropriate amount of power to fix employee or customer problems. So that's going to take some oversight. That's going to take some record keeping, because you don't want any abuse of power there, and you don't want folks overreaching their level of empowerment. So you have to keep track. You have to have record keeping. But overall, you might find that more empowered employees deliver better customer service, and you find that your guests are less frustrated. So great questions there. We're having a really big week on questions, and I love it. So homework. We talk every single week about what we're going to spend this week. Last week, it was all about owning your dirt and having great pre-shift huddles. This week, I want to ask you to focus on recognition, because the great part about recognition is kind of the more you give, the more there is, because people will pay it forward to other people. People will pay it forward to their frontline, to their guests. They'll pay it forward to their leaders and their managers. It just feels good when everybody's recognizing everybody. It just makes for powerful mojo that just drives the customer service mission. So I like to think of it as reward, the reward recognition system, REWARD. So the R is for recognizing great behaviors. Especially if you're in a change effort, make sure you're recognizing behaviors that are good. Catch people doing something right. What we hear from employees when we talk about engagement surveys and that kind of stuff, often what we hear in every line of business, nationally, everywhere, is you don't recognize us. You catch us doing stuff wrong, but you never catch us doing stuff right. Sound familiar? I bet it does. So take the time to catch people doing things that are right and recognize those amazing behaviors, because they're happening. You just have to be out there walking and owning that dirt every day to see it. The E is for everyone deserves recognition. I'm a firm believer in this. I think no matter what level of the organization you reach, and you could be a VP, the CEO, you could be a frontline associate, you could be a pot washer at a restaurant, you deserve recognition no matter how high or low you are on that organizational chart. And I think middle managers get kind of shortchanged out of that a lot. So take care with your employees to make sure that they're getting the recognition they need. The next one is for W. W is winning is cause for celebration. The reason that I talk about this is because we're always going to have wins. They're going to be little wins or big wins. It doesn't matter. Celebrate them. Celebrate the smallest success and the biggest victory, and make sure that everyone can feel it, because when you wait for the big moment, you could be waiting for a while. When you want something that you can have fanfare and fireworks over, don't get me wrong, those are great, but the casual thank you or the handwritten note are all just as appreciated as the huge parades and glitter. Accentuating the positive is key, because sometimes we need to talk about the not so positive. But if you take the time every single day to point out stuff people are doing right, whether they're big wins or small wins, they're going to take it much better when you have to talk about the not so good stuff, the opportunities, the lowlights, if you will. So make sure that you're calling out the good stuff, and people will hear you when you have to talk about opportunities to drive a little better customer service, execution, whatever that looks like. Rewards come in all sizes. So I know some places are still giving out cars and fancy trips and stuff, but you know what? Sometimes the little gift card, the movie tickets, the handwritten note can all have amazing impact. So don't think that the reward you're going to give somebody, and by the way, most people say that money doesn't necessarily have the recognition power that folks hope or wish it would or even think it does. Remember, it's about the genuine nature of recognition more than it is the value of whatever you're giving somebody. And then finally, deputize everybody to help. That's the D in reward. And that means it is everybody's job. You are never too high or too low on the organizational chart to give out great recognition. So take it very seriously. It could be a CEO writing something to a frontline associate. It could be a frontline associate even recognizing their supervisor or each other, because there's no better recognition than when associates recognize kind of their peers. And that just has real great emotional stickiness. It really smacks of authentic, and people think that it feels really good, and it really does help drive the organizational mission. So this week I want you to take great care to make sure that you're giving out fantastic recognition at all levels, every day, all day, and you will find that people pass that along to the customers and the guests in your business and drive amazing customer service because of it. So until next time, I'm Tony Johnson, your customer service leader. Tune in next week and we'll talk to you soon.